How are you, mate?
How are you doing, Steve?
I'm good, I'm good. Right, okay, guys, just to let you know why we're on here, it's because I do this for free, as do all the guys who I get on here. StreamYard, which we've been using on YouTube, is great, but to get the free service, you only get 20 hours a month. But because obviously I've been knocking out so many bloody interviews, we're up to the threshold already. So I can't go back to YouTube and use that until 22nd of June. So I'll be back on Instagram. I'm going to do as many as I can on Instagram, football and non-football. But that's basically why we're in this position. So some people prefer it on here, other people don't. There's nothing I can do about it. We'll just have to crack on. How's your sound, Michael? Your end? Your picture's a little bit odd. You're a bit blurry, mate, on my end.
Right, I can see you perfect. The sound's fine.
Perfect. Well, that's great, mate. Well, we'll just go with it, mate, because as long as the sound's okay, that's all that really matters for me. Gleno, first of all, says, shout out to Chopra. What a player, lads. May he rest in peace. Yeah, I'm definitely going to echo those sentiments, Michael. I'm sure you will as well. We'll always remember that goal against Arsenal.
Yeah, I remember it well. Obviously, Newcastle 4-0 down. What a game, what a turnaround, and especially I think that was the season Newcastle were really flying as well under Pardew. But Chopra was a great player. He was a special player. In the heart of midfield, he was driving the players on. And I remember one of the goals in that game, you could see the passion into his face when one of the goals went in. I think it was towards the Sir John Hall stand when he's running up to the corner flag and celebrating with a passion and everything. He was a footballer that played with his heart on his sleeve for Newcastle United, and give him credit. With the fans loved him. Do you know what I mean? Newcastle fans love players that work hard, and he was one of them players that you knew you were going to get 100% out of every game. Yeah,
100% agree, mate. Borough Mag's got a question in early. He says, Chops, did you think we'll be doing cans by now?
I thought we would have, yeah. But there's a delay, but it doesn't really matter. The takeover is going to happen. You see all these reports about the other guy in America is waiting to step in, and a report in the Daily Mirror saying that he would have had the Premier League test done within 3 weeks. It's nonsense. Do you know what I mean? It's just him trying to chuck a wooden spoon in the mix and trying to flare things up for Newcastle fans, get them a little bit more edgy and stuff like that. I think we just got to be patient. It's going to happen. A lot of people are trying to sabotage it. You see what's getting written about Newcastle United, negative stuff, and so be it. But to me, it's going to happen. I just thought that it would have happened by now.
I've never known as a takeover like this at all. Never mind a football club, just a takeover full stop. I mean, there is countless stories. We've now got some kind of Star Wars type of bloody peace meeting organised now. They're saying that the Saudis and the Qataris are now going to sit down around this table and discuss the TV rights. Would be, oh God, honestly, I mean, I've just fast forwarded through the Sunday supplement just to make sure that we weren't discussed on there, and I'm happy to say that we actually went through an hour and a half of the Sunday supplement this morning without Miguel Delaney talking about the takeover. He did manage to get the Saudis in there, but it was completely unrelated to Newcastle. But it's just crazy, mate. There's been more letters sent during this pandemic to the FA than probably that arrived there at 365 days of any other year. So it's driving me bonkers, and I'm sure you're getting the same on Twitter, mate. You're getting asked the same questions. You're getting your inboxes now from the same people. I've had to mute a couple of people now, and I hate to do that. But I'm, literally every other day I'm getting a message of somebody. Any news? Is it the same? Are you still confident? Christ, I would come out and say it if I wasn't confident. You know what I mean? I'm sure you're getting the same.
Nah, I've not been on Twitter much recently. Really don't really go on it and read what's going on about Newcastle anymore, because look, I know that it's going to happen. It's just a case of when. Obviously, you read reports about this peace deal and stuff like that. I was reading a few days ago that if the Qataris were going to buy the Premier League rights, the Saudis would bid another 50 million on top. Premier League would love that. Do you know what I mean? More money coming into the Premier League. But look, you've got to be patient. Obviously, as a Newcastle fan like yourself and the rest of the Geordies, we want the takeover to happen. We want Mike Ashley out of the club, and we want our club back. We've got to be patient. It will happen, and when it does happen, everyone can celebrate. But in a way, it's kind of a good thing because the fans aren't allowed to go and congregate at the stadium and stuff like that, because you know what's going to happen, Steve. You know that as soon as the takeover happens, there's going to be thousands of fans at the stadium celebrating because it's a big thing for Newcastle. So yeah, we just have to be patient, and hopefully it will be done this week.
I saw a thing that did saying, people asking, will the fact that Amanda Staveley has got her, court case with Barclays, starting on Monday, will that affect the takeover? Will that put it back? I mean, these things can run simultaneously, and Amanda's very good at doing more than one thing at a time. And, obviously that's big news for her because, she wins that case, she's going to be a lot richer as well, getting the compensation. So yeah, it's just one of them things. The papers are struggling for stuff, and the only thing that's getting clicks at the minute is COVID-19 and the takeover. Let's get to some of the questions anyway. Mark Dill, he's just saying that the sound quality is much better on here than it is on YouTube, so that's a plus point for being back on the Instagram for a short time. Newcastle United Times and Tom Dixon both asking what's the latest on the takeover. Will it be June? Will it be July? But the $1 million question, and we don't know the answer. Nobody knows the answer.
That's right, Steve. No, nobody knows. Do you know what I mean? Only the guys in the Premier League know really what's going on and how long it's going to take. Mm-hmm. But Premier League have to be careful because they can't just say yes straight away to the deal without looking in. Look, they've got to show a little bit that they're looking into everything. Obviously, with all the letters coming to the Premier League from numerous people that are trying to sabotage the deal, they've got to go through it and they've got to act like they mean something. Do you know what I mean? It's not a small thing, this takeover. It's a big thing. You've got the ruler of Saudi going to be buying a football club with Amanda Stelvey and the Reuben brothers. It's a big thing worldwide. It's not just a little thing where a guy from the UK is coming to buy a football club. So yeah, they have to look into everything and they have to show that they're doing it. And obviously, it was only last week that the Premier League give the go-ahead that the league's going to be up and running again. So now they can kind of focus on all the other things. But with people talking about Amanda Stelvey, her thing with Barclays going on tomorrow, will that delay the deal? People forget that the takeover for Newcastle was done like 2 months ago. Do you know what I mean? So it won't affect the deal. It won't slow anything down. We've just got to be patient.
Yeah, Murphy says it's a good one for you. He says start one, bench one, and sell one. Pele, Maradona, and Zinedine Zidane.
I didn't really see much of Pele play. I would love to have seen him play. I've seen videos, but to watch a football match in black and white, Steve, is hard for me. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't interest me. I know he's a great player. So then I look at Maradona. I got to see Maradona play when I was coming up as a kid and watching Italia 90 on Channel 4 and things like that. And obviously Zidane, I grew up watching Zidane in France 98 and things like that. But for me, I would say Maradona is my number one. And obviously Zidane is second and Pele third, because I didn't get to see Pele, so I can't really give my take on how good he was and things like that, Steve.
Yeah, so you would sell Pele then?
I'd sell Pele, yeah. Even though he scored all them goals and everything back in the day, with the balls were like medicine balls and the boots were solid. And look, back in the day, you get kicked and you get kicked hard and the referee waves play on, whereas now you get kicked and it's a red card and that sort of thing. So you've got to take it in account. But look, I'm too young to have seen Pele play, so I can't really say so. I'd have to get rid of Pele, even though he's probably worth the most out of three of them. Yeah,
so who would you start then? Would you start...
I'd start Maradona. Maradona would be my number one, yeah. Obviously, the goals he scored, and people talk about the hand of God, but only that type of player can score goals like that and get away with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But obviously, all the stuff after his career, it's a bit like Gaza. Gaza's a number one choice for many people. Obviously, he has his bad things off the pitch, but as a player, he's the best. Yeah. And likewise, Maradona.
Yeah. Matty Wilt says, Chops, which stadium did you prefer, Ninian Park or Cardiff City Stadium?
Steve, I preferred Ninian Park. It was an old-fashioned ground. You could hear everything from the changing room. It wasn't one of these change rooms where the surround sound and all that stuff. Any noise that came in from outside, you could hear. And it was a ground that was standing as well, which I love grounds that are standing because I think it's more vocal for the supporters. Stepped out on the pitch, it seemed the stadium was so close, and look, you go to take a corner and someone can pull your shirt. That's how close it was. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know. It's just them type of old-fashioned grounds I used to love playing at, and I prefer.
Yeah. Mupp says, Chops, would you agree that Ruud Gullit was the worst Newcastle manager that we've ever had, not just stats-wise, just for morale, etc.?
Ruud came to the club with a big image and that sort of thing of when he was at Chelsea. Obviously, the thing with Shearer was a big thing in terms of Newcastle United. But I wouldn't go as far as being the worst manager. You've got to remember, he took us to what he'd done in the FA Cup was a great achievement for Newcastle United. But how he treated certain individuals that were big players in the football club, yeah, it was hard. I wouldn't say he was the worst, but I wouldn't say he was the best. I would say he brought a lot to the football club, but he also disrupted the team a bit. My worst, I would say, was Souness. Obviously, I fell out with Graham Souness a couple of times over playing in the reserves and that sort of thing. So I wouldn't go as far as Ruud was the worst. Obviously, Newcastle fans don't like him because of what he'd done to Rob Lee and what he'd done to Alan Shearer.
Yeah. Brian Hogg says, Chops, are the Saudis the group you were talking about a year back?
Pretty much so, yeah, Steve. My partner in Amsterdam, George Kazianis, who I was working alongside, we spoke to a guy in Saudi called Sami Al Jabba, and it was literally just after when they tried to buy Man United. I spoke to my partner. I said, why don't we not try and get them to buy Newcastle? We need to get all the paperwork. And
Oh, we're losing you now, Chops. We've lost you there a little bit, mate. I'll tell you what, we'll take you out and bring you back in. You might find it better if you go on to your Chops and then bring you back in. Just bear with us, guys. This is the problem, unfortunately, with this particular way I feel. So hopefully he might have sorted his Wi-Fi out. Just bear with us, guys. Wait for Michael to accept. Will Amanda sue the PL, says Des. Look, I don't think it'll happen, mate. I don't think we'll go down that route. I genuinely believe we'll have a situation where the takeover goes through. No panic on my behalf. That's for certain. Right, okay, bear with us, guys, because Michael's obviously struggling a little bit. I'll try and add him again. PIF. Hi, mate. You okay? You're back.
Yeah.
Good stuff, mate. Jack Bart says, oi, oi, handsome. Hope you're well, son. Up the Pablo. Yeah, we lost you there, mate. Sorry, you went off. Let's change it a little bit. Get away from the takeover. Let's talk a little bit about the youth. The youth setup. Talk about it when you were there, Michael, and then talk about what it's like now. I mean, it's interesting because it comes in a week where we've seen Matty Longstaff, of course, linked with going to Udinese. One of our youth products who has now been offered 30 grand a week, we're led to believe, in Udinese. Newcastle, of course, come back with the offer of 20 grand a week, which, typical under Mike Ashley's era, we never give the person what they're looking for. We always try to go under. So let's talk about the youth setup. How's it changed, first of all? What was it like when you were there?
Right. Obviously, when I was a kid, it was totally different. We were training at Maiden Castle, then Chester Lee Street, And then obviously we went to where the training ground is now at Dorsley Park. But I remember as a kid, I was so excited for training, Steve. I would get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Didn't have to be at St James's until about 8:15. But yeah, I was excited to be part of Newcastle United and as a youth team player. So I was getting up at 7 o'clock, jumping on the metro at probably 7:30, walking down the street with a pint of milk, drinking my milk, thinking, oh, I need to get the calcium and all that, felt good for my body going to training. And I remember we used to get there and there would be like 15, 20 lads on a minibus, and the banter was brilliant, you know what I mean? I would always sit in the front, being the joker of the pack that I was. It was a cassette player at the time. I used to put like the New Monkey on, have a bit of a rave in the minibus, and the lads used to love it, you know what I mean? It was a bit banter and everything. We get to training and we'd play head tennis at Newcastle in the indoor gym. We'd do our weights. I wasn't really a weights person. I didn't think it would benefit me and that sort of thing. I was always football. But no, it was brilliant coming through as a kid. We had great youth team players. We had obviously Shaw, I was part of it. Gary Codwell, Steve Codwell, Brian Kerr, Peter Ramage was in my age group. But yeah, it was entertaining, and we'd go out and train and running around the running track where the main pitch was. And pre-season was tough. Obviously, Alan Irvine was there at the time. He was a tough Scottish guy, and he really put us through our paces. Afterward, we'd finish training at like 4 o'clock, and sometimes it would be pissing down the rain. And there was 3 baths in the changing room, and we'd sprint in straight away. First 3 people would jump in the bath, fill the bath up to there was one of them baths, Steve, where you could fill it up and it would just drain over the top and everything, and you'd fly back, and the bath was boiling and it was pissing down, it was freezing outside and everything. But I'll tell you one story. So when it's your birthday, there's a thing called you get boot roomed, which means there's a table where the lads polish their boots and everything, and obviously you've got the under-17s and you've got the under-19s that were training together. And when it's your birthday, you're going to get boot roomed. So in the morning, you've got to go and collect your boots. As you're walking in, the lights are off. There's probably 15, 20 lads waiting for you. And they've got polish, they've got Vaseline and everything. Me being the joker of the pack and being a live one and everything, literally every player was in there waiting for me, Stephen. I was pinned down to the table, and there was polish everywhere. There was Vaseline all over, and in my hair and everything. So, and I'd have to go out training looking like this. Do you know what I mean? And at the time, Alan Irvine was laughing his head off, and they knew what was coming up. Do you know what I mean? When the lads are talking about it and stuff like that, and they're hitting with, they're whacking you with the brushes and everything. Do you know what I mean? But that was banter at the time. It was all good. Do you know what I mean? That's what football was all about. Whereas now it's totally changed. But yeah, it was brilliant. You jump back on the bus, you'd go back home with the lads, and at the time, nutrition wasn't a thing really as a youth team player when I was back in the day, and we'd all straight from training, we'd go to Northumberland Street, we'd go straight to McDonald's, have Mackie D's and stuff like that. And I'd be going home at 6, 7 o'clock at night. It was brilliant, you know what I mean? It was what football was all about. Yeah. We'd have to clean the bowls, we'd have to make the drinks, we'd have to clean the manager's boots, we'd have to clean, when we went to Chester Lee Street, we'd have to clean the players' boots, clean the toilets, everything. It was what you would classify as, right, you want to be a footballer, you've got to do this. You've got to look after the players that are doing X, Y, and Z for you. At Christmas was brilliant. We'd have to sing a song in front of all the players. And if you're cleaning the players' boots, he would look after you. He'd give you, at the time I was only earning, as a 16, 17-year-old, you're only earning £75 a week as youth team wages. So you're cleaning one of the pros' boots, and he'd hand over to you 50 quid for as a Christmas present. It was brilliant, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, cheers, yeah, thanks a lot. It was great, and it's what dreams are made of. But you look at it now, and obviously the PFA and the FA totally ruled out all of you can't do this, you can't clean the toilets, you can't clean boots. But I think that's what makes players. I think you look at players now and it's all about, how do I look in the mirror? Do I look good? What clothes am I wearing and all that stuff. I think back then it was more like, I think a lot of the lads in the team were all streetwise, especially myself. PlayStation, they've got iPods, iPhones. Do you know what I mean? Football's totally different, and especially with what was going on with certain coaches at the club. I'm thinking to myself, it's a shame what's happening now to some footballers. And obviously you look at the likes of Matty Longstaff and stuff like that, and he might be getting driven out of a club he loves. And it's hard because I was in the same position when I was at Newcastle before I left. I got offered a new contract under Freddie Shepherd, and it wasn't good enough what I wanted. He might have thought that I was never going to leave the football club because I'm a Geordie, and I think that's what a lot of people might be thinking now. Matty Longstaff might not leave the football club because he's Newcastle through and through. You cut him open, he'll believe black and white, and that's why they probably offered him a contract that they thought, oh yeah, he'll take it. It's a lot more money than what he's getting now, but he probably deserves what Udinese are paying, because you look at football now, Steve, and the sky high. So you've got to give these players that have made it in the first team. They've done well when he was playing. He wears he wears his heart on the sleeve. He's black and white through and through. Why do club? It's bizarre to me, Steve, why they won't go that job. And I know Matty wouldn't go to the club. I want match my way, same as that. He'll want what he does. He deserve to be on 15 grand a week? I don't think so. When you see a John on 70 grand a week, what's Matty done that's different to John's done? He's probably done better in 7 months. Do you know what I mean? He deserves a lot more.
Yeah. The Spanish Geordie says, Steve, Chops, these question and answer sessions have been great while going through quarantine. You're both welcome out to Spain when this is over. The cans are in the fridge. John Poole says, Steve, is Michael fed up of hearing these other groups waiting to pounce if PIF fail? Every picture of Henry Maurice I've seen looks like it's from a 1970s high school yearbook. You are sick of it, aren't you?
I'm sick of it, yeah, Steve, because where were they the year before when Newcastle United, no one was coming in to try and buy the club? Why all of a sudden the club's pretty much the bid's been accepted? Why all these people come out and try to buy the club? Do you know what I mean? Is it another PR gimmick? Do you know what I mean? They know know that's been accepted. They know that things are going through. So what? Why don't we not put a bid in for the club? Do you know what I mean? And use a bit of PR offered against our company. You don't know. It could be a PR gimmick for these guys. Do you know what I mean? To boost their profile.
Daz asks a question: where do you think Steve Bruce can get Newcastle to finish with 9 games left?
I think this is a tough question, because I think it's all down to fitness. Every team's pretty much in the same boat. They haven't been training long. They haven't played many games. But then it's all down to individual players, what they've been doing out of season. And that's when you'll see how professional some players are, because they should be looking after themselves outside the pitch. Obviously, I've been watching a lot of stuff Jamie Sterry's been doing, and he's had Lascelles, he's had Sean Longstaff doing a couple of, which has been good. But then you've got to question yourself, is how much will all depend on what they've been doing.
We lost you there again, Michael. We lost you then again a little bit. It might just be the 4G, I don't know whether it's 4G or Wi-Fi that you're on, mate.
Steve, is that Steve Bruce's games will depend on how well the players have been keeping themselves in good condition outside of football. That's when you'll see how professional some of these players are. So it's hard to judge. Newcastle are lucky that they've got points on the table and other teams are playing catch-up. They know they don't have to win every game. They only need to win a certain amount. Look, if he keeps Newcastle in the Premier League, he's done his job, and finished further up the table.
Nigel Devine says, what was it like being one of the first Asian players to make the grade? Did you realise how much of a role model you were to other Asian players, and how did that feel for you at the time?
At the time, Steve, when I was coming through, when I was 15, 16, 17, it didn't really cross my mind about being the first Asian. In the back of my mind, it was all about I want to play for Newcastle United. Probably a year's first.
Yeah, lost you again there, Michael. Lost you again. Sorry, guys. Unfortunately, Michael's Wi-Fi is not great tonight, so hopefully we'll be able to get him back. But he might need to switch it from Wi-Fi to 4G. So let's just see if we can get him back first and foremost. Philip Davison says, I feel confident today reading an article on the Arabs sharing the rights to the Premier League games, which would make sense, taking longer than expected. Yeah, I saw that. Not 100% sure whether that's something which, is true. Again, what you've got to say, the newspapers are quick to put stories in, but we're not 100% sure the accuracy of these stories. We've got to be perfectly honest, Philip. Tom Dixon, Chops, when Amanda Staveley came in for Newcastle the first time, why didn't Amanda not put a big bid to buy the club? She did put a bid in, Tom. If you remember, Tom, she did put a bid in, but unfortunately Mike Ashley called her a tire kicker, and that's how that all fell apart. Have you got it sorted, Michael, now, do you think?
Well, I hope so, Steve. I don't know what the problem is. I've tried the Wi-Fi, then I've gone on to 4G.
Yeah, it may just be one of them.
I don't know if it's the area where I'm at. I'm in Indonesia, so you never know what the signal's going to be like. Do you know what I mean? But we'll try and carry on and see how it goes.
Umar says, was Albert Luque unlucky at Newcastle United, or was he just not good enough?
It's a tough one, because I look at all the players that have played for Newcastle. So I look at John Dal Thomason.
Yeah.
I look at Hugo Viana, and obviously I look at Albert Luque, and I ask myself, why did they not make it to the potential that they should have done? I believe that they weren't suited to the Premier League. The Premier League's a total different ball game, totally different to Spanish football, totally different to Danish and Portuguese. It's a lot quicker, whereas I trained with Luque, and Luque was a person that was more laid back. He was slow, but technique and everything. He had everything. He was brilliant.
Yeah, we've lost it. Yeah.
We're just
got the gist of that, mate. We've lost you halfway through. We've got the gist of that. Dan Gray says, tell us a bit about Sir Bobby Robson as a manager. He always spoke massively well of you as a player.
Players were exactly the same. It does take a while to adjust to the Premier League. Yeah, Bobby was brilliant with me. Obviously, when I was coming through his, he had high hopes for me, and if he didn't have high hopes, he wouldn't have given me my debut. And Bobby was the type of person that he had a lot of time for me. To one side, explain to me, this is what I should be doing, this is what I shouldn't be doing. Always talk about the young players that he used to bring through at Barcelona. The Brazilian Ronaldo and them type of players, telling me why he was so good, how he become the best. So yeah, I had a lot of respect for Bobby, just because he had Alan Shearer to look after, Craig Bellamy, Kieran Dyer, Titus Bramble, these sort of players he had to look after. He didn't have to deal with a young Michael Chopra that was coming through the ranks. So it made me
Albert
notice
Mooney
that
says,
this guy
first two
was
games
a
are at
very
home. It's
special
vital we win
manager,
these to relax.
and
We don't need
managers that speak
relegation
very
stress
highly
on
of him
top of
shows the
takeover
type of
stress,
person he
which
was.
is
And I
well
was
said,
lucky
mate.
enough
Tom
to be
Dixon
managed
says, it's great to see the Newcastle players playing a few games in their stadium without fans to get used to it. Also, they were on about putting cardboard fans in the stands. Yeah, borrow a few of them from Sunderland. We've also got from Tel Ross, he says, did you have any strange pre-match ritual superstitions? Yeah. Yeah.
a little bit, yeah. I used to wear ankle socks, Steve, but I used to cut the toes off, so there would be a gap like that from the front of my feet, and I used to cut the socks. I used to always have to put
we lost you there. We got
on my
the
right
ankle
side
socks.
first. I was
We got you to
right-footed,
do
so
that,
I
and then you
believe
went into freeze, mate. So what was the final part of it? All right, mate. Okay.
Yeah. So I can see when it's gonna freeze because it starts spinning. So I'll stop what I'm talking about if it's gonna spin. So yeah, everything used to go on my right side first. Right shorts, in my leg, my right arm, everything. It was a superstition that footballers got them. Bizarre ones, do you know what I mean? I've been in change rooms and I'm sitting there thinking, what's this player doing? Do you know what I mean? This is crazy. And then I look at but yeah, everyone has superstitions. Do you know what I mean? It's. I believe if I changed it, I'd play shit in the game.
Darren Carter says, did Shearer not really get on with Bellamy?
With my boots on, or put my right, that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? People tell you, try and see how you do, but you don't want to do it because it's a mental thing. No, they didn't really see eye to eye. Bellas, when he was young, he was more chirpy. I played with Bellas towards the end of his career at Cardiff, and he was a total different person. And Bellas would have a few digs at Al. Times in training, Al basically was saying, if you keep going on like that, I'm gonna thump you. I'm gonna knock you out. Do you know what I mean? It's the way he was going on and carrying on.
Harry Best says, who's your favourite current Newcastle player?
Al being Al, he was the club captain, and everyone respected him. And at times, Craig Bellamy was not respecting Shearer as much as what he should have done. I think you probably have to look at Saint Maximin. He's a type of player that excites fans, and as a fan, your games you want to be excited and you want to be on the edge of your seat.
Okay.
And I think he's probably the one.
Mutt Murphy says the takeover is definitely going through. Stop panicking. Alfie Justice says up Fez's bus. Sure, you know what he means. Gleno 1987 says, what do Jack Russells look like in Indonesia? Jack Bart's asking Muller corner or Muller Rice. A bit bizarre. Looks like you've gone again, Mike. I'm going to take you out and bring you back in. Sorry, guys. Not great at all tonight. The reception, not really much we can do. I think he's in a different room or a different area tonight, and that's why the reception's not great. So keep the questions coming, guys. Chops, which network are you using? Gift gaff. Classic. Official Sean Bennett says, I can see it now. We'll all be watching one of these videos and the news will break. I've always got Sky Sports News on in the background, so if it does happen, at least I can tell you. Keep the questions coming in, guys. As I said, not great tonight. Not really a lot we can do. I think Michael's gone on a sabbatical now. He's gone to find somewhere different to sit, maybe. Right, okay, we'll give it another go. Here we go. And you're back again.
Some of these comments are funny on the Steve, eh?
There's some belters like Up Fez's bus keeps getting a mention, but Up the Pablo was asking Muller Rice or Muller Corner, which is your favourite?
Muller Rice. I'm a Rice type of guy.
John Bragg's also saying you should get in a car. Well, I did it one a couple of hours.
I was watching it, Steve, before he was sitting in his car.
Sitting in his car, yeah.
When I switched it on, I was like, what's he doing sitting in his car? It was hilarious, mate. But do you know what I mean? If you're going to do an interview, you've got to do it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter where you are. If you want to do something and you want to speak to people and get people his opinion and they want to learn a bit more about your life and that sort of thing, you do it wherever, don't you?
Yeah, 100%, mate. It's one of those things. Everyone, as you say, some of the comments are hilarious. There's a few. I'm trying to get past all the 4G comments, etc. And Indonesia using behind Steve. I reckon Keys is in on this. Like, how good was Kieran Dyer? Says Gleno.
Oh, Kieran was brilliant player. I don't think he really fulfilled his potential to what he could do. Obviously, when he was at Newcastle being Newcastle, young boy, you're going out a lot. But he would produce on the pitch. I just believe he had probably a bit more potential than what he was showing. But no, Newcastle fans at the time, they were challenging for Premier League, so won the Champions League. And a lot of it was down to him. He was an energetic player. He had skill. He was a great young talent that Bobby Robson brought to the football club. He was a tremendous player. I just don't think we really seen his potential that he really shown, that he could have shown.
John 85 Tune says, "Who was your idol as a kid growing up?"
I probably had a couple, Steve. Obviously, when I was 9 and 10, I was a striker and I wanted to be Peter Beardsley and Andy Cole. But as I started to get older, I started to become a lot more aware about Alan Shearer and playing in the Premier League and the goal scorer that he was and that sort of thing. And then obviously when Alan moved to Newcastle, he kind of took me under his wing. We had the same agents. He gave me as much advice as what he could. And it was down to me whether I took it or not. He was a special player, but people have their doubts about Alan and say he's boring, he's this and that. But once you get to know Alan, you know he's nothing but a good lad and a good laugh. Do you know what I mean? On the TV, he's a professional. He has to do his job. Do you know what I mean? But outside of the TV, outside of football, he's a good laugh, and I really enjoyed my time with him.
John Ball says Joe Linton's off to a flyer. He scored a tap-in goal in the Newcastle versus Newcastle game. Well, at least we know he can score against our own team.
Yeah, look, everything points to goals. Do you know what I mean? And his confidence. Obviously, people will say, it's only against a
Mup says, what player behind the front 2-3 would Chops have loved to have played with for the killer through balls?
It's tough, really. Are you still there, Steve?
Yeah, I'm still here, mate.
Yeah. About Newcastle players, or talking about any player at all? Obviously,
Newcastle, mate.
That could see a pass. He could score a goal. And I think he produced a lot of goals for Andy Cole when Andy Cole was at the club.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Peter Beardsley's probably the one that everybody would love to play with. He made the game look so easy, and even Gary Lineker benefited from that massively. I remember watching the World Cup in '86.
When I used to speak to Peter, I used to ask him, how come you're so good? How come you know where to pick a pass? And he always see 3 passes ahead, which is phenomenal. He would know that if the first pass isn't on the second pass, he would know that he'd always pick somebody out with the third pass. So he'd always know that somebody else was unmarked, and you could see that his brain was a proper football brain. He would, in the way he played, he could see a pass. He could pick players out.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I've already had that one from Mup. A lot of people asking about managers tonight. A.W. White asking how bad a manager was Graham Souness. I mean, he's not a fan's favourite, Chops, is he?
No, he's not a fan's favourite. Look, some people like them type of managers because they're a hard manager. They like to get their foot in, work hard as a team. I didn't like him because I had a little fallout with him. And when you have a little fallout, you lose your feelings and lose touch with them. You kind of want to distance yourself away from them.
Yeah, I lost you again there, Chops. Lost you again.
I was a kid coming through the ranks at the time. I fell out with him. I didn't agree with what he was saying. So that's probably why I don't like Souness as much.
Yeah. Tom Dixon says, did you ever play against Neil Warnock? And if you did, what was he like? A bit before your time, that was it?
Yeah, well, I think Tom might be going about as one of his teams that he's managed. I played against his Sheffield United team, and also when he was at QPR. And look, he was a manager. You could hear him shouting and screaming from the touchline. Do you know what I mean? But he's a win clubs, our players, and all the. So yeah, he was a grafter. He was a typical Yorkshireman. He would for the football club, and you just need to look at how many promotions he's won.
Yeah, well, losing you again, Chops. Probably worth taking you out and bringing you back in again, I think, mate, just to get you back on track. Apologies for this, guys. As I say, not really much we can do because of the situation, but I will try and get through a few of these questions. Keep them coming. Some good ones coming in as well. Last 15 minutes of the show, anyway. Give us a couple of seconds, guys. Let's try and get them on. But say, keep the questions coming in. We will endeavour to get him back on. He has tried his 4G and he has tried everything that he could possibly do, and it's just not working tonight, unfortunately. I'm not sure whether he's switching his phone off or on now. Gutted Werner might be going to Chelsea. Would have been perfect for us. Would you go for Donny van de Beek? Yeah, I'm a bit gutted about that, but I've got to be honest, I'm not sure whether we'd be in the market for Werner at this moment in time. I think, we'll get a big showcase signing, but I'm not 100% sure that we'll get anything other than that. Michael's back again. We had a comment there from Albert Mooney. He says he's gutted that Werner's going to Chelsea, or might be going to Chelsea. He would have been perfect for us. Would you go for Donny van de Beek? The number 10 is a vital position.
I think Werner would have been a great signing. Do you know what I mean? I'm surprised that there's not a lot more Premier Leagues come in for him, because you look at the minimum fee release clause that he's had, and that's so cheap for a player of his stature. He's a goal scorer as well. I'm just surprised that Liverpool haven't really tried to buy him. Obviously, I've seen Van de Beek play many times when I've been living in Amsterdam and watching the Ajax games, and he is a exceptional talent, and I think he would be the perfect player for Newcastle United. He's young and he's hungry, and I believe that would be a lot more clubs trying to chase his signature. And if Newcastle managed to pull that off, that would be a big signing and a big statement.
Kevin Davison says, toughest defender you played against?
I would say Jonathan Woodgate. I've trained against him many times. People talk about your John Terrys and your Rio Ferdinands and things like that, but with Woody, he could read the game, and he was brilliant at reading the game. It didn't always look like he was playing in a game. He just used to glide through games, or play, and how he would play the game. It's just a shame that towards the end of his Newcastle career, he picked up a bad thigh injury and it didn't really work out for him at Real Madrid. But Woody would be up there with my best defender I've played against.
Mark Dills wants to know what your favourite Newcastle shirt was of all time.
I think I spoke about that last couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I like the branded collar shirts. Obviously the maroon and blue, the hooped one, and obviously the black and white one with the Brown Hill sign. I think them strips were when people talk about Newcastle, they talk about the Brown Hill badge or they talk about the blue star. That's Newcastle United. Do you know what I mean? And I think them type of strips really stand out and really stick out in my mind.
Yeah. Phil Davison says, yeah, reception's great now that you've switched the light off.
Is it gone off?
Well, no, I think it's just because you've moved your position, but can't see the light that was behind you now. So it's just another one of them funny. He's been funny. Tom Dixon says, Chops, why did you retire?
Do you know what, Steve? And a lot of people don't know this, but when I was at Blackpool, I had a little bit of depression. I started to fall out of love with football, wasn't enjoying it, and I wouldn't look. I love playing football. Do you know what I mean? When I was younger and coming through and stuff like that, but it got to a point where clubs were treating players like a piece of meat, and I was exactly the same, and I didn't enjoy it, and that's probably why I retired so early, because I didn't want to be classed as a scapegoat for some clubs, do you know what I mean, and that sort of thing. And I look back and I had a good career. I enjoyed my time as a player. I could have played on longer, but when I retired, Steve, my heart wasn't really in it anymore, and it'll disappoint people, but that's me being honest, and I'm an honest guy, and that sort of thing. And people say, yeah, but you're a footballer, you're earning this and that, and you should be privileged and that sort of thing. But if you don't enjoy football anymore and you're a little bit depressed, then you can't wake up every morning and go out and do your job properly. And that was exactly the same, Steve.
Dean Skelton says, do you think Matty Longstaff will leave?
Well, it all depends on the takeover, doesn't it? How soon that happens. Because I know if the takeover happens, he'll stay at the club because he knows Newcastle United are going to be successful. If the takeover gets delayed, then he might have to leave, because at the end of the day, he's got to think about his career. And the only one thing you've got to worry about is, as a player, and I go back to when you read reports about Michael Owen being on a free transfer, and it'll be in the back of Matty's mind as well, that if he's playing in these games, if he gets injured, then his career could be finished. You know what I mean? He's got to seriously think about this as well. I know it's been selfish on his point of view, but as a footballer and as a person, you've got to in football, you've got to make as much money as you can, because it's such a short career. So it's a tough one for Matty. I would love to see him play for Newcastle United for the rest of his life, because he's a Geordie, and no better feeling than playing alongside your brother in the middle of midfield.
Gleno says, what was Titus Bramble like as a player?
People have the squirms about Titus and saying he wasn't good enough and he was like Bambi on ice and this sort of thing. But Titus done his job to the best of his ability. You've got to realise that when he was at the club, they were challenging for the title, and you bring in good defenders now, and Newcastle fighting relegation. So you look at Titus, and Titus was part of a team that was successful, and he'd done the job that he was capable of. Yeah, people obviously thought he could do better, and because he was playing in a better team. But I believe Titus was a good player. He was a strong defender. I didn't like playing against him in training because he would kick you. He was strong, he was quick, and that sort of thing.
Paul Oxley's asking us about the Tuxedo Royale. I retweeted something today.
I've seen it.
What a classic. He's asking, how many times did you go there?
Probably only a couple, because when I was that was there when I was like 16, 17, and then we used to go to Tuxedo Royale, and then we used to go to Bohol, straight out into Bohol. Do you know what I mean? But I was young at the time, and I was probably under the age. Do you know what I mean? I shouldn't really have been out, and I was focused on my career. But I remember going there and enjoying it. But look, it was one of them places that you'd walk in and your feet would stick to the floor because it would just be soaked in alcohol. Do you know what I mean? It was one of them things.
Yeah, Miss Clary says she's got a can in her boot. She's in Gateshead tomorrow. Surely it can't be too much longer. Dodds MR says Ashley's not going to sell. It's worth too much to him. Yeah, I cannot see Ashley staying. I think we've gone past that now. I have to disagree with you. Scott Thompson, see Matty's been given a new contract. I haven't seen that. If that's been announced in the last half an hour, maybe that's the case, but I haven't seen that. Mup asks Shearer or Henry.
I would say Shearer. Look, he done it in the Premier League from day one. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Henry came into the Premier League probably 2000s, early 2000. Henry was brilliant, but he was playing in a very, very good Arsenal team. And if you put Shearer on that Arsenal team, he would have scored a lot more Premier League goals than what he did do. But no, I would always say Shearer. Shearer's a Geordie, he's my idol, so I've got to say Shearer.
Shiv Chowdhury sharing his WhatsApp number with us. I've got no idea why, but I'm sure it's going to be spam. I'll not be ringing you. I'll not be ringing you. Borough Mag says, to both of you, favourite childhood Newcastle United memory. What's your favourite childhood memory about Newcastle?
I think my favourite childhood memory was the last day of the season, getting promoted to the Premier League, Steve. When we played Leicester, and we battered Leicester, and it was just the icing on the cake. Do you know what I mean? It was a matter of time with the team Newcastle had.
Yeah.
They took that Division 1 by storm, and the players Andy Cole and David Kelly, Gavin Peacock, Lee Clark. Do you know what I mean? That was Newcastle United, and that's probably my favourite childhood memory. I'd love to know what yours is, Steve.
To be honest, my first game has to be 1984, seeing Kevin Keegan fly off in the helicopter. That was my very first game as a Newcastle fan in the flesh. My granddad was a referee assessor. He'd been a referee in the 50s and then became a referee assessor in the 70s and 80s. And he took me to Gateshead, he took us to Middlesbrough, he took us to Hartlepool and Darlington, all before he took us to Newcastle. So I actually watched Gateshead for the first 2 years of my football supporting career when they were in the Northern Premier League, and I got to watch Terry Hibbert play with Bob Toppin, and they won the Northern Premier League, and Terry Hibbert was outstanding. But yeah, when I turned 13, my granddad and my dad both said it was time for us to go to watch Newcastle play. And I had a choice of going to Derby County at home, which was part of the promotion season, or going to the 2-2 game against Liverpool in his benefit game, which, of course, that was the one I wanted to go to because it would be Kevin Keegan's last. And it was a great choice. But I just remember walking into the ground for the first time in the old West Stand, the old corrugated iron West Stand. My granddad, of course, was in the director's box, so I got taken up into the little function room that they had in the old West Stand, and I was introduced to Jackie Milburn, to Bobby Cowell, to Joe Harvey, I got a chance to meet all of these people, and you know, it was fantastic. And then I sat in the old West Stand next to the commentator's position in the press box. My granddad had to mark the referee still in that game, and Peter Taylor was commentating on the game, the great Peter Taylor. It was just a fascinating experience, and yeah, you know, that kind of memory is going to stick with you forever. And to see Kevin Keegan flying off the helicopter, and that's my first game. You know what I mean? And I thought it was always going to be like that.
Yeah.
Fascinating, mate. Fascinating, and that's why I fell in love with the club. You know. So yeah, last couple of points from people. Graham Knox says he was there and the game against Bristol. Miss Clary says you should all celebrate the takeover in Stanley. I think Chops will prefer Indonesia. I might pop up to Stanley. I know Singe up there. He's a good lad. Mutt Murphy says Steve Wraith or the tax man who wins in a street fight. I wouldn't be as stupid, Mutt. And Burramag says fantastic boys. A Taylor says great listen lads. Thanks Steve, appreciate all the efforts. That's great. I mean, look, we haven't had the best mobile reception tonight, but listen, Chops, thanks for coming on again.
Cheers, Steve. I'm sorry to everyone about the signal. Hopefully we can get it right next time. Do you know what I mean? I'll speak to the Wi-Fi people here and find out what's going on.
Get it sorted out, mate. Get it sorted out. Everyone still enjoyed it, mate. And as I say, look, we're doing this for free, mate. We're just doing it to cheer people up a little bit in the pandemic. So we'll get you back on next week, Chops. Absolutely fantastic. Have a good week, mate.
Thanks a lot, Steve. I appreciate it.
Take care, bro. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, I'm going to do you two more tomorrow. I'm going to do who we got on. I think we've got Chris Wallace on from Gallagher Shots. And we've also got on Steve Howie tomorrow. So we've got two on tomorrow. You know, basically just one after another. I'll have an hour's break. But I'm going to be loading them onto YouTube as well. So if you do miss out on them, guys, you know, don't worry. They'll all be going on the YouTube channel. But yeah, I'll continue to do them, folks. And a lot of people say, and I hope you continue to do them after lockdown and whatever. You know, let's try and build on it. And I don't want to stop people saying you should set up a page and take money for it and, you know, get yourself onto StreamYard full time. I don't really want to be doing that. So tomorrow, 7, yes, Singe the Tree Surgeon, 6 till 7 for Steve Howie, and then 7:30 till 8:30 for Chris Wallace from Gallagher Shots. So 2 hours tomorrow, 2 separate hours, 2 separate shows. And if you don't want to watch both of them, you can catch up and watch one on YouTube. But thanks for tuning in. Good night, God bless. I wish you well.